good morning to you. Back to the morning show again on this Thursday. It's raining out there. The rain, though, it's a little warmer. So if it was cooler, that precipitation could be something else. But can you imagine all of that snow in New York? I mean, trees are falling, people out without electricity. It is incredible. Anyway, here today, thank you so much for tuning in with us and joining in with us. We have a retired Lieutenant Colonel 05. She was a senior logistical officer in the military, and that is Miss Cleola. I'm saying that correctly?
Yes.
Miss Cleola Davis. Colonel Davis, thank you so much for being in with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Troy.
Excellent. Well, look, we're here to talk about her book. She has a book called Forged in Battle. African Americans officers serving in the United States Army was inspired a lot, perhaps, about what the televised death of George Floyd, May 26, 2020. And this sparked memories of trauma that she suffered in military service. And thus, we have the book, Forged in Battle.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about that. You an A&T State University grad.
Aggie Pride.
Aggie Pride. So you were in the, so you got out of school as a commissioned second lieutenant?
I did.
Okay, all right, cool. And so let's talk about that. What made you decide to go in the military?
Well, when I got out of high school,
Okay.
I had to think of a way that I wanted to pursue life, and the military seemed like it offered the opportunity for me to have a fair opportunity in the 1970s and 80s. See, the military has rules. Everybody has to follow the rules. So I knew I was going to be very good at doing that, and therefore I'd be competitive. No matter who I was competing with, I should be able to beat them. Just good home training from my parents telling me to focus, be the first in the room, study hard, put your 100% in it, make sure you're complete in everything you do. So I was confident if I were in a structured environment like the military, that I would excel, and I chose that.
So you're from Wake County, Raleigh?
I am from Raleigh.
So where'd you go to high school?
Raleigh Enlow.
I'm familiar with Raleigh Enlow. Mm-hmm. And you got into the ROTC program there at A&T. They have a great program there.
Yes.
You graduated. Once you said, I do, where'd you go?
Well, I graduated. I was an honor graduate out of ROTC. I was a Douglas MacArthur winner in leadership out of ROTC, and that's all important because as I was transitioning out of A&T, I was expected to do well. I had some great instructors in the ROTC Corps there, and they told me on my way out, we fully expect for you to excel in the military. So my first assignment, well, I was commissioned an ordnance officer, and now that's a logistician, and I went to Aberdeen Proving Grounds for my basic training as an officer.
So for the regular folk that don't understand that military terminology, an ordnance would be what?
Well, ordnance is more than one thing, but what I specialized in was maintenance. So my soldiers are the people who fix everything from the smallest little radio component to the M1 tank, which is the battle tank for the Army. So my soldiers fixed all those things, and that was my specialization.
Okay, so you're stateside, and you finish what you're doing at Aberdeen Proving Ground. Where do you go after that?
Okay, well, after Aberdeen, I went to Fort Hood, Texas.
Okay.
So my first assignment was at Fort Hood, but in the support battalion there. And I stayed there for about 18 months and then asked to go to something more challenging, believe it or not. And they sent me to Second ID in Korea, and I stayed there a year. What they consider hardship at the time at Camp Casey.
Okay. And that tour, you come back. So when do you make first lieutenant captain?
Okay.
Where are you at then?
Yes, I made first lieutenant actually in the advanced course. So after I finished my tour at Fort Hood and then went to Korea, I came back to Aberdeen Proving Grounds for the advanced course, preparing to become a captain. And I made first lieutenant there.
Okay. And so captain, take us through your journey, Captain Major.
Well, absolutely. The book starts with me as a captain, taking command of Delta Company, which was the heavy maintenance company during that time, the way the military was structured. And heavy maintenance meaning that it really supported all the other maintenance companies inside 1st Cavalry Division, because that's where I was assigned once I became a captain. The book starts there, the day I take command, because for that, for all intents and purposes, that begins the forging process that's referenced on the cover of the book. So the title of the book means that forging, meaning that I came in kind of innocent, expecting that it would be competitive and I'd be able to beat out whoever I was competing with. It has a cleansing effect, a learning effect implied in the word forge. You take a metal and you forge it, it may turn into something that's refined. So the word forged is purposely chosen by me to indicate that I was going into a process where I was going to be cleansed. And then the word battle is purposely chosen because it's constantly going back and forth, what should be versus what is, what I can do versus what I can't, even though I am fully capable of doing it. And the rest of the title kind of speaks for itself. African American officers, I'm certainly one of them, serving in the United States Army. And that is a wide scope, because in order to talk about African American officers, you have to talk about all the other officers also. And then you mentioned Mr. Jones at the beginning. Chapter 1 is his story, and he was a Vietnam era soldier, and his story is just one little piece of it, of how he saved a platoon and received a Bronze Star with V device, which is awesome. No matter where you are or who you are, you know that is the 3rd or 4th highest medal you can get. But the person who he saved, who was hollering for help, got a Silver Star. So that sets up the other chapters, which are all about me, on how my military career flows up and down. I'm doing the right thing, but then something happens to change the opportunity that I have set up for myself through my performance. And especially today, when you hear people talking about progress due to merit, the book is so timely because it shows that you can perform to high standard. You can even have a merit that's higher than your competitor, but that doesn't mean that you're going to progress in the way that you think you should or in the way that you should, which makes this book also perfect for Black History Month and segueing into Women's History Month.
So as a 05, you are a brigade commander?
No, as an 05, you are battalion commander.
Battalion, okay.
But the book ends with me becoming an 05. By the time I became a lieutenant colonel, I was in a nominative position, meaning that it was selected by Congress for me to go there. But I decided as a major that I was going to get out of the military. So between the beginning of the book, chapter 2, Cheekbones High, and the end of the book, it's 21 chapters, but chapter 20, I have gone through enough for me to say, I am ending my career, or I'm going to get out.
So how many females in general, and particularly African-American women, number one, you think were officers during your tenure, and particularly in the field that you were in, how many were doing what you were doing?
Well, gosh, that's a good question because it covers a lot of time. Now, a lot of people are familiar with the movie 6888 because those ladies were WACs. The WAC Corps ended in 1979. So all the women that came in after that time came in the full, what you call, male military. And I was one of those women who came in 1983 that was taking positions that may not have ever been held by women before. So were there a lot of women in the military? Yes, because they actually segued people out of the WAC Corps into active duty Army. And we were coming out of different universities, ROTC program, even West Point at the time that I came in, going into positions to fill officer positions. So comparatively, meaning the military was all male before, there were quite a few women in the military.
But I'm talking about in the O ranks now, though.
Okay, yeah, officer ranks also. I mean, let's see, in the Ordnance Corps, I cannot give you approximate number of how many, but I would say that at Fort Hood, where I was stationed, in the 1st Cavalry Division where I was stationed, as a captain, I was one of the senior black women in that division. And there was one other young lady senior to me who was also a captain, but she was in aviation. And because of the time that we came in the military, we were the first to do so many things because there were no women before us to have held the position in aviation or ordnance maintenance or even some signal units or I know chemical. So we were the first women really transitioning into the Army at that time, in the full Army that used to be male Army, coming into the Army.
So, 1st Cav, I was in the military, but I was not in the Army. So I'm just trying to understand how, it's different from the branch I was in. 1st Cav, is that an aviation?
No. 1st Cavalry is a division, and usually everyone recognizes 1st Cavalry's patch because it has a horse up top,
Correct.
It has that cross. It is in numerous movies. Cavalry goes all the way back, 1st Cavalry, in
Right, so
fact,
you're riding
goes
horses.
back
Right.
to Custer.
Right.
Custer was in 17 Cavalry.
Right.
So the horses were eventually replaced by tanks.
Okay.
Right. And so the mission of the cavalry is always going to be out front when they get ready to position them. And in the front of the division, which 1st Cavalry is a division, is 1-7, which is the scout for that division, the scout unit. 1-7, during the time that I was in the military, was a battalion.
So there's not choppers, helicopters assigned to 1st Cav?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Because a division has numerous brigades.
Okay.
And so it has a division artillery brigade.
Okay.
It has a division aviation brigade. It has a division support brigade, which is called the DISCOM. And I was a member of that, the DISCOM, Division Support, meaning that we support the combat arms and combat service support and ourselves with whatever capabilities we have in logistics.
So which conflicts were you involved in?
I was deployed in Desert Shield, Desert Storm. And I commanded, as I said, the Delta Company in the division during that period.
Okay. Okay. Well, look, that's impressive. Well, look, let's take a break right now, Reverend Paul, our producer, and we'll come back and we'll explore more about your book. We have Miss Cleola Davis, retired Lieutenant Colonel, and she's talking about her book, Forged in Battle, African American Officers Serving in the United States Army. We'll be back for more following this break.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the U.S. is gathering information about a Florida-registered speedboat that entered Cuban waters and opened fire on Cuban soldiers. At least 10 FBI agents who worked on former Special Counselor Jack Smith's classified documents investigation into President Trump have been fired. President Trump declared during Tuesday's Marathon State of the Union that he sparked jobs and manufacturing booms at home while imposing a new world order abroad. And Catawba College professor Michael Bitzer tells NCN News on the subject of tariffs, He thought the president would be much harder on the Supreme Court members present because of their ruling. NC State University's Institute for Emerging Issues hosted a series of forums about the future of water and how to improve water systems locally. One of the forums took place in Asheville on Wednesday. Mike Rayleigh, NCI News.
I'm Jamie Monticelli, WIDU Radio News. The Fayetteville Police Department was conducting a security check that led to an arrest and the seizure of narcotics and a handgun. At about 1 a.m. on February 22nd, the Central District Patrol C Squad officer did the security check along the 3100 block of Bordeaux Park Drive. The officer observed the interaction between an individual on foot and subjects in a vehicle. The officer continued surveillance of the individual on foot, which led to the execution of a search warrant at the individual's residence. The individual was identified as 33-year-old Lakeil Davis of Fayetteville. Davis was arrested and is facing multiple charges. On Wednesday, February 25th, the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office Special Investigations Unit executed a search warrant in the 200 block of Corolla Court in Stedman. As a result, 46-year-old Jason Walkinson of Stedman, North Carolina, was arrested and is charged with felony possession with intent to manufacture, sell, and deliver marijuana, felony manufacture of marijuana, and felony maintaining a dwelling. From WIDU Radio, I'm Jamie Monticelli.
With the cold front slowly working its way south and east through the area today, showers will be likely and they could be heavy at times. Highs will stay mild today. We'll keep some brief showers through Friday, then warming this weekend. Showers likely this morning with mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures start at around 50. Then showers remain likely through this afternoon. Highs reach to around 60. Cloudy with brief showers possible Friday with highs reaching the mid-50s. I'm meteorologist Grant Skinner in the NCN Weather Center.
It's that time of year. Cooler temperatures are settling in, and staying comfortable at home becomes a priority. When it is colder outside, heating systems often must work harder to keep you and your family cozy inside. When energy use goes up, monthly utility bills can go up too. That's why PwC is here to help with a few simple steps that can make a real difference. A programmable thermostat is a smart place to start. It allows you to reduce energy use when you're away or sleeping, helping you stay comfortable while managing costs. Also, weathering your home can also improve efficiency. Sealing windows and doors helps keep cold air outside and prevents energy from being wasted. Visit faypwc.com for more tips, programs, and resources to help you manage your energy use, control costs, and stay comfortable all winter long. PwC, we are more than your hometown utility.
Hello, Cumberland County. Thank you for allowing me to serve. I'm Vice Chairwoman County Commissioner at Large, Veronica Jones, asking for your support for re-election. I'm a lifelong public servant, community leader, and mental health educator. I'm proud to be a voice for Cumberland County families and advocate for our democratic values. Vote Veronica Jones for County Commissioner at Large. Early voting, February 12th, February 26th, and primary, March 3rd, 2026.
Paid for by the campaign to re-elect Veronica B. Jones, County Commissioner at Large.
For North Carolina high school seniors, the countdown to college is on. And at CFNC, we've got all the resources and information needed to get you on campus next year. Take College Application Week, for example. Did you know you can apply for free at many North Carolina colleges from October 20th through October 26th? Sure can. Don't miss the opportunity to save some money applying to college. And for more help, visit cfnc.org/C2C.
If you pay your city or town for electricity, you live in a public power community. Public power communities provide electricity to families and businesses from a locally owned and operated system. Public power systems are not-for-profit and provide electricity at affordable rates with unbeaten reliability. Your local public power provider invests in your community, providing local jobs and supporting your local economy. Electricities of North Carolina is the energy behind public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
There are many times I thought, I can't do this. I mean, what parent isn't worried about? What am I not doing right? What am I not doing enough? And then I realized, wait, that's being a parent.
Don't worry about being perfect. I've had around 3 other mother figures in my life, but only one of them has taught me how a mother loves.
The greatest reward for me is he makes me better every day.
I would tell a family considering adopting a teenager that teenager, whoever it is, needs you, and they need what you have to offer.
Taylor's given me hope. He's our son, and that is what he will always be.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Sheriff Jonathan Morgan has served this community as a firefighter and deputy sheriff since 1996. For nearly 3 decades, he has answered the call, protecting families, standing in the gap, and serving with honor. Sheriff Morgan has worked his way through the ranks to become sheriff of Cumberland County, earning the trust of the men and women he leads and the community he serves. Now Sheriff Morgan is running to continue to be your sheriff because he wants people to feel safe in their homes, safe in their neighborhoods, and safe in our county. Sheriff Morgan believes in our county, and together we make it safer. When you vote for Sheriff Morgan, you're choosing experience, you're choosing commitment, you're choosing to believe in our county too. So let's vote for Sheriff Morgan. Early voting begins Thursday, February 12th through February 28th, 2026. Election day is Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026.
This is Sheriff Jonathan Morgan, and I approve this message, paid for by the Jonathan Morgan for Sheriff Committee.
If you are on Medicare, scammers may target you to steal your identity. Remember, Medicare will never call you asking for personal details. The NC Department of Insurance Senior Medicare Patrol program is here to protect you from fraud and provides you with knowledge to stay safe. Contact SMP today at ncshiip.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
Side of the morning show, we have Ms. Cleo Davis, a retired lieutenant colonel, Army type, and we were just comparing notes. I was in another branch, but anyway, forged in battle African-American officers serving in the United States Army. I believe someone called in a question for you.
Yes.
Grab that. How about answering that question first?
Yeah, I think someone called in, probably a young lady, called in and wanted me to talk about what happened in the 1960s, 1960, 1961 with women in the military. Now, I wasn't in the Army in the 1960s, but I do know that there were the Army, the Women's Army Corps. And as I said, the movie 6888 is a great example of what these ladies went through during that time. There was also a WAF, the Air Force had women, and the Navy also had women. Sure. But the movie 6888 shows some of the challenges that this postal company had just doing their job. The fact that they had very much in common with me, unnecessary obstacles placed in their way so that they could serve their country. And they came forward voluntarily so that they could serve. But while they were serving, they also had to realize that they were in an environment which may not be receptive to all of that they were bringing to their country. So it gives us, as I said, a dynamic where it is a forging because you are doing the right thing, but then there's something pulling against you. But at the same time, you succeed in doing the right thing. And when you finish, you have to be better. Either you're going to be better or you're going to be broken. So most of us, speaking of African American officers, come out refined and better people.
Sure. I know a number of females did serve in the nurse, served in,
Yes.
in the nurse as nurses. One in particular that name might ring a bell with some folk around here is Miss Ada Ross. Miss Ada Ross was a member of our city council. She is deceased now, but she lived up in Savoy Heights, and it's my understanding she was a captain. Mm-hmm. And during World War II, I believe she served in the Philippines. So we have distinguished service members throughout our community. Former Chancellor of Fayetteville State University, Dr. Lloyd V. Hackley, was an Air Force officer, and he got a Silver Star for gallantry.
Oh, wow.
And don't mean no harm, but look, it's a little tougher to get a medal in the Air Force than it is in some other branches. They're very particular. They don't pass them out the way I know, because I served in the Air Force. They don't pass them out the way other branches do. I don't know what he did to get that medal, but it had to be pretty dynamic for the Air Force to give a Silver Star for gallantry.
See,
in Vietnam, that's what he
if
served.
we're talking about the history of African Americans in African American History Month, I mean, we can go on and on about people that we know of, the Tuskegee Airmen, the Montfort Point Marines. These are World War II veterans. If you don't know about Montfort Point, those were the first African American Marines.
Right.
And what they went through just to serve and to become Marines. So we can, the nurses, the nurse corps, oh my goodness, the African American women that served there and what they have, look at how we survived because they were there serving us. We cannot thank veterans enough. And that's regardless of your field. If you're a cook and you were in the military, we thank you because you have given a part of yourself that other people haven't. As far as the nurse corps itself, I have many friends that are nurses, and it is separate. It is a separate corps in the Army from the rest of the officers like myself. So it is a nurse corps.
Right. So, and as we were discussing earlier, the officers, like I said, I ran into officers when I was in, and it was so few that when you saw me, like, wow,
Yeah.
I don't ever recall meeting an African American female officer while I was in.
Yes.
That was a rarity. And I remember when a lot of that was changing, but that was post my time in the military.
Yes, many people have talked with me about that. I mean, I'm walking around being myself because I don't know the military in any other way than the way I entered it. But people would approach me, other soldiers, enlisted men, and say, wow, I have never seen an African-American captain or African-American lieutenant, which is very much what you're saying. I've never seen one. And then some of the branches of service, branches inside the Army, you didn't have to salute the women officers.
Oh, really?
Right.
Wow.
So this is what I was told. Well, so us coming on board, they had to salute us. And as a matter of fact, if they didn't, we tell them, stand up and salute. So it was groundbreaking. It was a glass ceiling type of breaking, because one, we didn't know any different. People that came in after 1979 didn't know what it was like to be in any other type of Army than the one that we're in. But for all of the men that had been in there for years, they had to adjust to us. I'm not going to say that we didn't know there was some adjustment, but it wasn't in the front of my mind, I have to care about what men think about me coming into the military because they have to adjust, right? So I came in kind of wide-eyed, eager, and believing in the Constitution and in all that I had been taught as a child, planning to be a success as my family, my church, and my A&T had prepared me to be.
Sure. I know the career field I was in, I saw one female in 4 years.
So what was your career field?
Security police.
Oh, yes.
So I saw one female in 4 years.
And I will say this, that when I got to Fort Hood, which is the largest as far as number of soldiers at that time in the Army, the MPs, the military police, had senior women senior to me and the other captain that was in the division. So the military police were the senior black women on that post.
Right. I saw a lot of that change, I read about a lot of that changing, which was good.
Yeah.
So
But I want to say this: you and the ladies in the Women's Army Corps, we stood on your backs. All those NCOs that were at Vietnam, that were making the difference and leading, because really there was a strong contingent of NCOs that were black coming out of Vietnam, right? We stood on your success. When I say Montfort Port Marines and I say Tuskegee Airmen, I don't know what it would have been like to come out of college and not have you all in my history. So whatever we have done since that time, I'm thanking you for that.
Sure, I appreciate that. And you
Absolutely.
know what, I guess because you build on that, you know, when I read about World War II, and it was just insane, this belief that they couldn't fight, all the things that they said they couldn't do. And like I said, my daughter was at Tuskegee for years, and so being down there quite often, I learned a whole lot about that situation, because they have a museum down there, all of that, you know, very much a lot of history about what the African American contributions were, the Red Tails and all of that.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just interesting. Each generation builds on the one before them, and I think about how that white Germans could ride in the car up front with white army soldiers, and black males couldn't ride up, and they were, so the enemy, just because of the color of their skin, could eat up front, ride up front, and their colleagues, who was African Americans, couldn't ride up front. I mean, that's just so insane to even think about that.
It is insane, but I'm going to say this with love. It is so American. But my book doesn't really address race in that way.
Correct.
This book is really saying is what it is an example of what we do to persevere in spite of whatever obstacles are laid, and race is one of them.
Sure.
It is really about people who are better qualified. You know, like right now we have a Defense Department that's headed by a person who was never a lieutenant colonel. So certainly this person isn't better qualified than me. You follow what I'm saying? So that's why I used the word merit in the beginning, because you could actually have the qualifications, have met every requirement, and be outstanding in it. But because, like as we were just saying, because of where we are and the truth about the country, you will not excel. So my book is going through what it's like to be a young woman coming out of Raleigh, North Carolina, going into the military with no understanding her history, but not expecting for it to hit her in the face. And not just me, but the other people around me that are going to be held in position because the system that's an undercurrent to the regulation determines who moves ahead rather than merit.
Sure.
Right.
I would just like to say this though, that because I'm very fond of history. I think we should be reminded that John F. Kennedy, who was perceived by some to be a good president and a very favorable president for African Americans, had a Department of Defense person that he got from Ford Motor Company. That was actually true. Anybody want to check that out? He took an executive from Ford Motor Company and put him over the Department of Defense.
Now, Troy, I will say this because I do know a little about history too. Then it'll be up to history to say whether or not that was a wise decision.
Oh yeah. I'm saying, well, I mean, looking at what happened in Vietnam, I don't think that was a wise decision. But that's my perspective on that.
Right.
But my point is that people make decisions about leadership sometimes sometimes a person is not indigenous to the job, and they turn out to be the best thing that we ever had, and sometimes they turn out to be the worst thing we ever had. Depends on what they do, because nowadays people have different kinds of leadership. I remember one time when doctors ran hospitals. That's no longer true. They get CEOs over hospitals now. They don't get someone like that. I believe that your service to the military, I think that so long as we don't have a Joint Chief of Staff that's a civilian, you know, I think that when it comes to the military, we're going to be okay. A Joint Chief of Staff needs to be a military person. There is a bridge between whatever administration we have and the military, and the person over DOD would be that bridge. But I believe that when we talk about leadership for the military, I believe whoever they choose to be the Joint Chief of Staff, I think that's what needs to happen.
Well, I guess we're discussing now how the system is set up. That's true. Whoever heads DOD or the Department of War, whichever way we want to refer to it today, is a civilian. But I cannot go further without saying that a person who is not senior to me replaced a 4-star general.
Sure.
And regardless of how good this person is, there is a great deal that 4-star general brought to that job. But he was a civilian also.
Sure.
When he took it. So we have to look at it. Well, I remember growing up in the South, one of the things that my father used to talk about is to make sure that you're the best at what you do and to make sure that you excel. Well, if we're not going to look at excellence and we're not going to look at merit, we're just going to look at, well, this person was in a position, so let's put them in here. He may be a good leader. Then we kind of lose the whole logic behind people becoming professional. I mean,
Sure.
if you don't have to have any experience in it, and now you're the head of it, then why go through all the challenges of learning the profession so that you can come to the top?
Well, John Colin Powell was Joint Chiefs, right?
And yes, he was.
Right. I don't remember. Was he the first African American to hold that position? I don't recall.
I don't think that he was first.
Okay.
Or maybe he was. I don't know.
Yeah. But I'm saying is that I think that's a real, when it comes to military, I believe that's a very powerful position. You know, you're going all the way back to Blackjack, Pershing, to, you know, all the generals that have held that spot.
That's right.
To me, I salute everyone that served in uniform. Particularly, I read Colin Powell's book. I forget the name of it now, but it came out in the 90s, and I have newfound respect for those of you all that were in the O ranks. Typically, getting to be 06, a lot of people stop at 05. Getting to be 06, what they refer to as a full bird colonel, that's a challenge, and what you all go through, because one mistake can cost you your whole career. He writes about that in his book, how that he made a mistake, and the general in command, he was a 1-star, and the general in the command of Alabama, Georgia, wherever it was, he pulled it, and if it had not been for that, he would have retired as a brigadier general. So, you know, because as an officer, you guys are responsible for what goes on beneath you, whether you were standing there watching it or not.
And to your point, that's my point. If you grow up, you come in as a lieutenant and you go all the way up in ranks. Imagine the responsibility you've had by the time you get to be a lieutenant colonel. And then, as you said, a full bird. Truly, that is something different than a person that is producing cars. But that's neither here nor there, because really, in my book, I am using examples exactly what you're talking about. I mean, who determines who's best? Is it your performance? Is it your ability to think, to express yourself? Or is it someone wants someone else to do the job, so they just pull them into the job.
Yeah, it's very competitive.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's competitive, and it's also, it becomes a point where you have to determine what is best for the country. I mean, maybe there are a lot of people that could be president, but everybody will not be president. And there are probably a lot of people that could be the Secretary of War, but everybody won't get that either. But when you have 330 some million people in this country, you want to put the best in there. Not just someone you know, or someone you've mentored, or someone you like, but the best for the country, because that's what military service is about. It's about serving the country. We have to keep that in mind, that it is not about serving individuals, and it is not about necessarily friendships, because you and I could be best of friends, but I think this guy over here has performed better and should get the higher job. Not in the case, Chapter 1, Gallant Under Fire, where you have a person who risked his life to save another person's platoon, but for reasons never explained to anyone, the person that's pinned down, taking fire, screaming for help, gets the Silver Star, and the person that runs out in front of the bullets gets a Bronze Star. That is what this book is about. So,
Yeah.
but if we don't put it in a category that learning and preparing is a higher standard than I like you and put you in there, then I guess you would understand this book. But everyone who has read this book, from librarians, the oldest person I know that read it was 94 years old, said that not only did they understand what I was writing in this book, but that they had experienced it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, very much so. And you coming in as a second lieutenant, you knew how much that E8 or that E9 that you worked with had to mentor you, correct?
Absolutely.
I mean, even though they were enlisted ranks,
yes,
that you had to lean on them until you grew to
Troy,
become a high rank officer.
Troy, you have got to read this book. You've got to read it, because I give absolute homage to the NCO Corps and the Warrant Officer Corps, who carried me when I had no one but my troops. I didn't have a chain of command in support of me because they had their reasons for not liking me. But my soldiers stood with me as soldiers should.
Right.
And it was, to me, I'm going to say it, it was a tribute to their honor and respect and courage, and also respect to my leadership. Because if I had been in a situation where my soldiers didn't respect me, I wouldn't have made it, I don't think, off that desert as the commander of that unit. So when I deployed out of Fort Hood, I was one of 2 women commanders in 1st Cavalry Division at that time. And I'm not going to make history up, but I don't think there had ever been any women assigned to the division that when it deployed, not 1st Cavalry Division, when it deployed. So they brought one other unit over from 1st Armored Division, which was inactivating. But to wrap it all up, we had, the challenges were there presented by my chain of command, not my ability to lead, not my soldiers, and definitely the NCOs and warrant officers are stars of this book.
Sure.
I put in there African American officers, but warrant officers are officers, and so are non-commissioned officers.
Yeah, we didn't have those, but I know what you mean.
Yes.
Anyway, look, I leave you final word. We have 1 minute left. Thank you so much. How will individuals gain access to your book? And if you want to share any contact information for yourself personally, that they may contact you for speaking engagements or any other things that you may be engaged in.
Yes, I do. I want to say 1 or 2 things. All of the proceeds from my book go to either a nonprofit I support the Fragile X Foundation, which is a genetic disability, and either a nonprofit organization or to a Black-owned, veteran-owned business. And my website is www.ltccleola.com. You can contact me at 980-622-2545 if you'd like for me to speak. And I speak to any group, Children Up. This book is something that anyone can read. 6-year-old, if he can read it and understand it.
All right. Thank you so much, Colonel Davis.
Mm-hmm.
And we salute you for all that you've done, and certainly for your military service and all that your contributions are, not only to the military, but certainly to our community. And we're glad. Do you live in Fayetteville now?
No, I live in Raleigh.
Oh, so you live in Raleigh. Okay, well, so you drove down.
I did.
Oh, well, thank you so much. We appreciate you. But look, we salute you and wish you well in your future endeavors. Maybe we talk some more in next month when the Women's History Month. But thank you again for joining with us. And I'm sure this will be great reading.
It's great reading.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take care. All right. This is going to wrap things for us up, and we'll talk to you guys later.